Forgiveness is not something you do for someone else. It is the greatest gift you can give yourself. Right now, in this very moment, you may be carrying wounds that feel too deep to release, betrayals that still sting when you think of them, words spoken years ago that echo in the quiet of your mind. Perhaps there is someone whose name alone tightens your chest, or a memory that rises unbidden and steals your peace. You are not alone in this. We all carry these places inside us, tender, unhealed, still waiting for the balm of our own compassion. What I have come to understand through my own journey and through witnessing countless others find their way back to wholeness is that healing begins the very moment you decide to forgive. Not tomorrow, not when the other person apologizes, not when enough time has passed to dull the edge of the pain. The moment, the instant you choose your own freedom over the familiar weight of resentment, something shifts, a door opens, light finds its way into rooms that have been dark for so long. Unforgiveness is a burden we were never meant to carry. It is like walking through life with a heavy stone pressed against your heart, and after years of carrying it, you forget it is even there. The weight becomes normal. The tension becomes your baseline. You may not realize how much energy it takes to hold on to anger, to nurse old wounds, to replay conversations in your mind where you finally say the thing you wish you had said. This invisible weight drains you. It saps your vitality, clouds your vision, and keeps you tethered to a past that cannot be changed. Every time you revisit the hurt, you relive it. Every time you tell the story of what they did to you, you reinforce the neural pathways of pain. Your beautiful, miraculous body does not know the difference between a memory and a present moment experience. When you remember the betrayal, your heart rate increases. When you think about the injustice, your muscles tighten. When you replay the scene, stress hormones flood your system as if it is happening right now. This is not punishment. This is simply how we are designed. And because we are designed this way, we also have the power to choose differently. We can lay down the stone. We can soften the grip. We can say, with great tenderness, I am ready to be free. Let me be clear about something important, something that often keeps people locked in unforgiveness for years. Forgiving someone does not mean what they did was acceptable. It does not mean you are saying their behavior was right or that you condone the harm they caused. Forgiveness is not about them at all. It is about you. It is about choosing your own peace over the satisfaction of being right. It is about refusing to let their actions continue to poison your present moment. When you forgive, you are not letting them off the hook. You are releasing yourself from the hook. You are saying, I will no longer allow this experience to define my worth, limit my joy, or dictate my capacity to love and be loved. You are reclaiming your power. So often we confuse forgiveness with reconciliation, but they are not the same thing. You can forgive someone and still maintain healthy boundaries. You can forgive someone and choose not to have them in your life. You can forgive someone who has passed away, someone who will never apologize, someone who does not even think they did anything wrong. Forgiveness is an inside job. It is a private act of liberation that happens in the sacred space of your own heart. Your body knows what your mind sometimes refuses to acknowledge. The resentment you carry lives not just in your thoughts, but in your tissues, your organs, your cells. I have seen it again and again. People who hold on to old anger develop tightness in their shoulders, pain in their lower back, digestive troubles, headaches that will not relent. The body becomes the warehouse for unexpressed emotion. Louise, why does my neck hurt? Why do I have this chronic pain that no doctor can explain? I gently ask, who have you not forgiven? Who are you still angry with? And almost always there is someone. Sometimes it is a parent. Sometimes it is an ex-partner. Sometimes it is themselves. The body remembers what the mind tries to forget. It holds the score. When you refuse to forgive, you are asking your body to store that toxic energy somewhere, and it will. It must. Where else can it go? But here is the beautiful truth. The body also responds to forgiveness with profound relief. When you finally release the old story, when you breathe into the tight places and say, I let this go now, the body softens. Muscles unclench. Breath deepens. Pain that seemed permanent begins to ease. I am not saying that forgiveness is a magic cure for all physical ailments, but I am saying that unforgiveness creates a climate of stress and inflammation in which disease can thrive. And forgiveness creates a climate of ease and flow in which healing can occur. Your body wants to heal. It is always moving toward wholeness. When you forgive, you remove one of the greatest obstacles to that natural healing intelligence. Take a moment now and notice. Place your hand on your heart. Feel the rise and fall of your breath. Is there tension in your jaw, in your shoulders, in your belly? Just notice. Do not judge. Simply allow yourself to feel what is present, and then with great gentleness ask yourself, what eld hurt am I still carrying? Whose name still brings a tightness to my chest? You do not need to force an answer. If one arises, receive it with compassion. If nothing comes, that is fine too. The body knows. Trust that it will reveal what is ready to be healed. There is something fascinating that happens when we hold resentment toward another person. We begin to see their flaws everywhere. We become hyper-aware of the qualities in them that bother us, the selfishness, the dishonesty, the carelessness, the arrogance. And what we do not realize is that the qualities we judge most harshly in others are often the very qualities we have disowned in ourselves. This is not always true, but it is true more often than we would like to admit. The things that trigger us are often mirrors. They show us where we are not yet free. If someone's selfishness enrages you, perhaps there is a part of you that has never felt safe being selfish, that has always put others first to the point of self-abandonment. If someone's success makes you bitter, perhaps there is a part of you that does not believe you deserve success. If someone's coldness wounds you deeply, perhaps there is a part of you that has shut down your own heart to avoid pain. I am not saying this to blame you. I am saying this to free you, because when you understand that the person you are judging is also teaching you something about yourself, forgiveness becomes easier. It becomes an act of self-compassion. You are no longer forgiving the villain in your story. You are forgiving another wounded soul who, like you, is doing the best they can with the awareness they have. And in forgiving them, you are also forgiving the parts of yourself you have rejected, the parts you have deemed unworthy of love. This is the deeper healing. This is where true freedom lives. Before you can fully forgive anyone else, you must learn to forgive yourself. This is the foundation. This is the ground from which all other forgiveness grows. And it is often the hardest work of all. We are so brutal with ourselves. We hold ourselves to impossible standards and then punish ourselves when we fall short. We replay our mistakes on an endless loop. We say things to ourselves we would never say to another human being. Why did I do that? How could I have been so stupid? I should have known better. I am such a failure. These thoughts are violence. They are a form of self-abuse that we have normalized, and they create an energetic climate in which no real healing can take place. If you are constantly at war with yourself, if you cannot look at your own reflection with kindness, how can you expect to extend forgiveness to anyone else? The practice of self-forgiveness begins with the recognition that you were doing the best you could at the time. With the awareness, the tools, the emotional resources you had in that moment, you made a choice. It may not have been the best choice. It may have hurt yourself or someone else, but it was the choice you were capable of making then. You are not the same person you were 5 years ago, or 10 years ago, or even yesterday. You have grown, you have learned, you have evolved. Can you honor that growth by releasing the version of yourself who did not know what you know now? Can you say, I forgive you, with the same tenderness you would offer a child who made a mistake? This is not letting yourself off the hook. This is recognizing that you cannot move forward while dragging the weight of your past behind you. Self-forgiveness is not condoning your behavior. It is choosing to learn from it, to make amends where possible, and then to release the self-punishment that serves no one. Here is a simple practice you can begin today. Stand in front of a mirror. Look into your own eyes. This may feel uncomfortable at first. That is normal. Take a breath and then say, I forgive you. Say it for the times you were not kind to yourself. Say it for the relationships that ended badly. Say it for the ways you betrayed your own truth. Say it for the moments you chose fear over love. Say it as many times as you need to. Let the words land in your heart. Let them soften the hard edges. You may cry. That is healing. You may feel resistance. That is normal. Keep going. The more you practice forgiving yourself, the more natural it becomes. And the more you forgive yourself, the easier it is to forgive others. Because you understand in your bones that we are all stumbling through this life trying to find our way back to love. We all have a story about what happened to us, a narrative that explains why we are the way we are, why we struggle, why we cannot move forward. These stories are not inherently bad. They help us make sense of our experiences. They give us a framework for understanding pain. But they can also become prisons. When we tell the same story over and over, she ruined my life, he broke my heart, they never appreciated me, I was always the one who gave more. We reinforce the identity of the wounded one. We become so identified with our pain that we cannot imagine who we would be without it. The story keeps the wound alive. It gives us something to point to when we want to explain why we are not happy, why we are not successful, why we are not in a healthy relationship. It becomes our excuse, our shield, our reason for staying small. But what if the story is not the whole truth? What if it is just one interpretation of many possible interpretations? What if there is another way to see what happened, a way that does not require you to be a victim? I am not asking you to deny what happened. I am asking you to consider that the meaning you assign to it is not fixed. You can rewrite the story, not the facts, but the meaning. You can choose to see the experience as something that happened for you rather than to you. You can decide that it was a catalyst for growth, a teacher, a doorway to deeper self-awareness. When you change the story, you change your relationship to the past. And when you change your relationship to the past, you change your present. You are no longer defined by what was done to you. You are defined by who you choose to become in response to it. Take a moment and think about the story you tell most often. The one about the person who hurt you, the event that shaped you, the loss that broke you. Write it down if you wish, or simply hold it in your awareness. Now, ask yourself, what am I getting from holding on to this story? What does it protect me from? What does it justify? And then, with great courage, ask, who would I be without this story? What would become possible if I let it go? You do not need to answer these questions right away. Let them sit with you. Let them work on you. The story will begin to loosen its grip, and in that loosening, forgiveness becomes possible. Forgiveness is not a destination. It is not something you do once and then check off your list. It is a practice, a daily softening, a moment-by-moment choice to release the grip of the past and return to the present. Some days it will feel easy. You will wake up and feel genuinely free, grateful even for the lessons learned. Other days, the old anger will rise up, the old hurt will knock on the door, and you will have to choose again. This is not failure. This is the nature of healing. It happens in layers. Each time you choose forgiveness, you peel away another layer of protection, another layer of armor, another layer of story. And underneath all those layers is your true self, whole, radiant, undefended. Be patient with yourself. Forgiveness is not about forcing yourself to feel something you do not feel. It is not about pretending the hurt does not exist. It is about gently, consistently choosing love over fear. It is about noticing when the resentment arises and saying, I see you, but I do not need you anymore. It is about breathing into the tight places and allowing them to soften, one breath at a time. Some days you will need to forgive the same person for the same thing 5 times before breakfast. That is okay. You are retraining your mind, your heart, your nervous system. You are creating new pathways. And each time you choose forgiveness, those pathways become stronger, more familiar, more natural. One day you will realize that the person who it's occupied so much space in your mind barely crosses your awareness anymore. The charge is gone. The story has lost its power, and in its place is peace. This is the gift of consistent practice. When you hold on to unforgiveness, your energy is bound up in the past. There is no room for anything new to enter. Imagine your heart as a beautiful home with many rooms. If every room is filled with old grievances, old resentments, old stories, where is there space for love to enter? Where is there space for joy, for abundance, for new relationships, for creative inspiration? Forgiveness is the act of clearing out those rooms. It is opening the windows and letting fresh air sweep through. It is saying, I am ready for something new. And the universe, in its infinite generosity, responds to that readiness. When you forgive, you create space. Space for miracles, space for synchronicities, space for blessings you could not have imagined while you were still holding on to the past. I have witnessed this transformation countless times. A woman forgives her mother, and suddenly opportunities begin to appear in her career. A man forgives himself for a failed business and meets a partner who truly sees him. Someone releases an old betrayal, and their health improves in ways that baffle their doctors. This is not magic. This is energy. When you stop leaking your life force into the past, it becomes available for the present. When you stop feeding resentment, you have energy to feed your dreams. Forgiveness is not just about healing old wounds. It is about opening yourself to new possibilities. It is about saying yes to life, to love, to all that wants to flow toward you. You cannot receive with closed fists. You cannot embrace the new while clinging to the old. Forgiveness is the opening. It is the exhale that makes room for the inhale. It is the letting go that allows the receiving. And here is what else happens when you forgive. You stop being a match for the same old patterns. You stop attracting relationships that replicate your wounds. You stop recreating the dynamics that hurt you because you have done the inner work. You have healed the place that was calling those experiences to you. When you forgive your father for his emotional unavailability, you stop choosing partners who are emotionally unavailable. When you forgive yourself for your past mistakes, you stop sabotaging your success. When you forgive the friend who betrayed you, you stop living in constant suspicion and defensiveness. Forgiveness changes your vibration. It changes what you radiate into the world, and what you radiate is what you attract. This is not about blame. This is about empowerment. You are not responsible for what was done to you, but you are responsible for how you respond to it, how you heal from it, and what you choose to create from here. Forgiveness gives you that power back. There is no timeline for forgiveness. No one can tell you when you should be ready. No one can rush your healing. If you are not ready, you are not ready, and that is perfectly acceptable. Forgiveness cannot be forced. It must unfold naturally in its own time, like a flower opening to the sun. Sometimes you need to feel the anger first. You need to honor the grief. You need to let yourself be furious at the injustice of it all. This is part of the process. Bypassing these feelings in the name of premature forgiveness is not healing. It is spiritual bypassing. It is stuffing the pain down and pretending it is not there. Real forgiveness can only happen when you have allowed yourself to fully feel what needs to be felt. So if you are not there yet, be gentle with yourself. Do not let anyone shame you for not being ready. Your pace is perfect. Your process is sacred. What matters is that you are willing. Even if you are not ready today, the willingness to be ready someday is enough. That willingness is the seed. And when the conditions are right, that seed will sprout. Trust your own timing. Trust that your heart knows when it is safe to soften. And in the meantime, surround yourself with people who honor your process, who do not push you to forgive before you are ready, who understand that healing is not linear. You might take 3 steps forward and 2 steps back. You might think you have forgiven someone only to discover another layer of hurt underneath. This is not regression. This is depth. You are healing at a level most people never reach because they are too afraid to feel. Honor your courage. Honor your willingness to stay with the process even when it is uncomfortable. And when you are ready, when the moment comes and you feel that subtle shift in your heart, when you take a breath and realize the weight is lighter, when you think of the person or the event, and there is no longer a sharp edge of pain, this is grace. This is the moment forgiveness becomes real. It may not be dramatic. There may be no lightning bolt, no cinematic epiphany. It may be as simple as waking up one morning and realizing you feel free. The person who once consumed your thoughts is now just a memory, neutral and distant. The event that defined your life for so long is now simply something that happened, not something that is still happening. This is the gift. This is what awaits you on the other side of forgiveness. Not perfection, not the erasure of the past, but freedom. The freedom to be present, the freedom to love without armor, the freedom to trust again, to hope again, to open your heart again. And in that freedom, you discover something profound. You discover that you are not broken. You never were. You are whole. You always have been. The wounds were real, but they did not destroy you. They shaped you, taught you, deepened you. And now, having walked through the fire of forgiveness, you emerge with a strength and compassion that can only come from someone who has known pain and chosen love anyway. Forgiveness is the ultimate act of self-love. It is saying, I matter enough to free myself from this burden. My peace matters more than being right. My joy matters more than my grudge. My future matters more than my past. It is reclaiming your life, your energy, your power. It is stepping out of the role of victim and into the role of creator. It is saying, this happened and I survived, and now I choose what comes next. And what comes next is entirely up to you. You can choose bitterness or beauty. You can choose resentment or renewal. You can choose to let the past dictate your future, or you can choose to write a new story, one where you are the hero of your own life, not because you never got hurt, but because you chose to heal. Healing begins the moment you forgive. Not because forgiveness erases what happened, not because it makes everything okay, but because it sets you free. Free to live fully, free to love deeply, free to be, finally and completely, yourself. And that freedom, that return to wholeness, is the greatest gift you could ever give yourself. It is the gift you deserve. It is the gift that has been waiting for you all along, patiently, lovingly, in the quiet chambers of your own courageous heart.